It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. I'm the president of Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. You can find a link to my work at emailrevealer.com. This show is brought to you by cartking.com. Check them out at cart-king.com. 877-986-7771. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Perhaps your current business wants to add multiple point-of-sale locations across the country quickly. You can be in 10 malls across the country overnight. Maybe the facility you manage could kickstart revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. If you want a big building, an office building, or a warehouse, or a hospital, you can put a little cart down there, sell coffee in the lobby. Well, CartKing.com could be the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail coffee and food carts and kiosks that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients and corporations across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts, kiosks for any application. Even those little snack bars you see at the Little League games, CartKing.com can build those and ship them worldwide. From large, heated, secure outdoor retail or food kiosks to smaller, more mobile coffee kiosks and stations, CartKing.com designs them all and builds them all. Please visit them today at CartKing.com, cart-king.com, or give them a call at 877-986-7771. We're lucky to get a hold of Brian Mcrackin. Brian Mcrackin's been on our show before. He's traveling right now. You can hear the cars in the background. He's hitchhiking. He's out there on the highway hitchhiking his way across the country. We got Brian Mcrackin back. He's been on the show before. He's an eyewitness to the Arliss Perry murder in the 1970s. And we brought him back because all this stuff in the news going on. Hey, Brian Mcrackin, how are you?
Hello, Ed. This is Brian Mcrackin. Thank you for calling me.
Thank you, sir. Hey, remind the audience, who is Brian Mcrackin? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a tech writer, voiceover narrator. I was someone who was at the scene at Stanford University back when Arliss Perry was killed, and I wasn't a witness to the murder. I was a witness to the what shall we say, the appearance of Arliss and of a person of interest at the church at midnight on the night of the murder. And I gave my information to the police about that, and subsequently I've been trying to get the investigators to follow up on that person of interest.
Right. You have a suspect in mind. You've identified him, and everyone knows. If you listen to the first show we did, with Brian Mcrackin, you can find it at oppermanreport.com. People have figured out, you've laid all the clues, and people have figured out this composer, who you think it is. But you've never said the name out loud, right?
No.
Okay.
I have not.
Gotcha. And we won't today.
I figure the authorities should be the one to do that. I'm just upset that no one has officially gone forward and checked out this person of interest. There are two clues involved that should be obvious. One is DNA, and the other one is the handprint on the candle. And to my knowledge, this person of interest has never been checked for DNA or for the handprint. So what's up? How come that has not been done?
Yeah, that's very interesting. And they did go to get the DNA of this Crawford character, who was the caretaker over there, caretaker, handyman, whatever they're calling him. And he committed suicide during the execution of that search warrant. Which is why we're bringing you back now. But before we get to that, describe what happened that day when you walked into the church.
Well, I had been at a nearby coffee shop at the Stanford University called Fraiser Union, and they're getting ready to close. And as I headed away from the Union, down an alleyway past the church, I heard music, and I thought it was kind of odd because I knew that it was late and no events were scheduled. And so I walked in, and there was a fellow on the pulpit, white guy, wearing an afro wig, playing a silver flute. And on the altar was a nude female. I walked down the aisle of the church to within maybe 20 feet of the two people. The fellow at the pulpit playing the music, he didn't seem happy to see me. He was sort of glaring at me. The woman on the altar, she turned her head. She had been staring straight at the ceiling. She turned her head to the left and looked at me, smiled slightly, and then turned her head back up to look at the ceiling again. I thought that they were perhaps having some sort of a private moment, having fun in the church, pretending to have a black mass or something. The girl had altar candles burning on either side of her. And so I decided that maybe I should just leave, and that is what I did. There's no other information I can add to that other than the fact that I saw the guy and I saw the girl. They were there at midnight or thereabouts, and I saw no one else in the church. After leaving their vicinity, I walked back through the doors of the church into, I don't know what you call it, a receiving area or something like that. And anyway, that's, if you go in there, there's doors leading into the church, and to your right there's bathrooms, to the left there's stairs going to the choir loft and the organ loft. And that's where I went. I was curious to see the machinery of the organ loft. And so I walked upstairs. The music was still playing. And I started to go down the steps into the choir loft. But it just looked too black. The situation felt too weird. And I decided not to go into the choir loft itself. And that's when I left. So let the person involved, the person of interest, guess whether or not I looked over the railing to view him and his interaction with Arliss at that point. I will not say at this point.
Okay, very interesting. Now you've seen pictures of Arliss Perry since then. Are you convinced that the woman on the altar was Arliss Perry?
I cannot say that with surety. I looked at the woman's face. I looked at the pictures. I can say that she was a light-haired woman and a white woman, and she looked similar to Arliss, but I can't say specifically whether or not that was Arliss on the altar. However, I will say that there was only one woman in the church, and subsequently, within a few hours, her body was discovered. Arliss' body was discovered. I can presume that there were not that many nude women lying on altars that night.
Now, was her body found nude, though? Totally nude?
According to the reports that I have read, she was half clothed. Apparently, she had a top on or a blouse. But I wasn't there to see her getting dressed. The time that I saw her, she was lying completely nude on the altar with candles burning on either side. And that's the only thing that I can report on specific viewpoint.
And also, too, according to reports, she was violated with these candlesticks. Have you ever seen photos of the candlesticks?
I have not seen the photos, but as I said, when I saw the woman on the altar, there were candlesticks burning on either side of her, one on the left and one on the right. They were, I think, in brass holders, and they were long white candlesticks. According to the reports that I've read, she was violated, and that the candlestick used to violate her had a handprint.
All right.
And I'm very curious to know why the person that I have named to the police as a person of interest has not been checked for that handprint.
Because, right, according to reports, Stephen Blake Crawford, his handprint is not involved in any of this. We know that, right?
Well, according to the reports that I've read, there may be correlating DNA evidence between Crawford and the crime scene. But as far as I know, they checked Crawford's handprint against the candle 40-odd years ago, and I presume that it's also done subsequently, and there is not a match. If there had been a match 40 years ago and more, there was not DNA technology available. Subsequently, there has been. However, handprint and fingerprint technology has been available for a long, long time. And there was that technology available at the time of Arliss murder. So it makes you wonder, if they did check the handprint against Crawford, why did they wait 40 some odd years? Doesn't make sense.
A lot of this doesn't make sense. Because also, I believe the DNA that's linked to Crawford was found on a pew nearby, on a cushion on a pew. Now, so what? Maybe he was in there goofing around. You know what I mean? That doesn't connect him to a murder.
Well, do you want me to speculate?
Yeah.
Ed?
Well, we're both speculating, yeah.
I'll speculate. Supposing this guy Crawford, who has been proven to be a thief, been arrested a number of times, previous to his committing suicide, obviously. He is a criminal character. He was a security guard at the time. Let's just suppose that he finds the nude body of the girl. I do believe that some items of value were missing from Arliss, a necklace or some other kind of jewelry. Let's suppose that Crawford took those things. Let's also suppose that he was a sleazy kind of a guy, and he finds the nude lying there, and he masturbates and leaves his semen on the prayer pillow near the body. The killer did not do that. He was a little too smart. However, the killer did leave a handprint on the candle. And so there's two separate pieces of evidence, DNA and the handprint. What if the security guard left the DNA semen and the killer left the handprint on the candle? So if the police are using only the DNA evidence from the semen to corroborate the fact that Crawford was there at the scene, it may not actually prove that he was the killer. And now remember, this is speculation.
Right. And also, we can speculate forever, because if Crawford has the keys, he's the night watchman, the security guard, he has the keys to this church, he could have been known these killers and let the killers in and been hiding in that pew when you walked right past him. You could have walked right past him. He was kneeled down. He was lying down in the pew.
Well, that is possible.
Yeah.
There's another thing that I can speculate on.
Go ahead.
And that is the person of interest that I named to the police. He was a member of the Stanford marching band.
Right.
Something like 2 weeks after Arliss' killing, the Stanford marching band was scheduled to record, guess where, in the Stanford church.
Really?
Now, if this musician was part of the band and he was a student, and they were scheduled to do music there, to do a recording at the church, is it possible that he may have asked for and received some sort of official or unofficial key to the church to, quote unquote, do practice?
With his flute.
Excuse me?
With his flute.
The last time I saw him actually playing an instrument, let me back that up. The first time that I saw him playing an instrument, it was not a flute, it was a trumpet.
Okay.
He was a member of the Stanford marching band, and he was at a football game at Stanford. He was wearing the afro wig, and he was playing a trumpet.
But you saw that in a photograph later on. You didn't see that in person, right?
I saw that in person. I was at the Stanford football game.
Oh, really?
And I saw him wearing the wig and playing the trumpet. And that is partly how I was able to put two and two together and say that the person of interest in the church was someone that I had seen before, and that I was, in fact, this musician's Stanford marching band student.
Okay. I didn't recall that. I thought you saw this, you looked in a yearbook or something like that, and you saw his photograph, and that's how you put two and two together.
No, I saw him in person. That's the second time I'd seen him was in the church.
Okay. Now, so you saw him first in the game, then you saw him the second time at the church.
That's right.